I know you've worked with hundreds of companies. I know you work with governments as well. Tell me your thoughts on really good learning cultures that you've worked with, and what do you think make them a good learning culture?
Well, I think a good learning culture is one that learning is rewarded because you get the behaviors you reward. And I would like multimodal learning, right? Not just focused on one thing, more broad, making sure that we're getting engineers that are prepared for the future, not just the past. And, uh, and learning that is engaging, not boring, exciting, and can be applied.
So, Quest Global is very much a learning culture. We encourage and applaud our employees and our teammates for learning, but we actually have a really interesting approach to it as well. We actually applaud failure. And so, what that actually means is that on an annual basis, our senior leadership team meet and they personally bring forward their biggest failure of the year. It's not a team failure, it is a personal failure. And they get up in front of the rest of their peers and they talk about what that failure is and what they've learned from it. And they are celebrated in terms of doing that. And that actually cascades all the way down the organization. We do that with all of our teams. And it's about taking personal accountability for what we could have done better so that we teach the rest of the organization or the rest of our teams what our mistake was so that they don't repeat it. It's a very humbling experience. It's difficult, quite honestly, the first time you do it because you're truly admitting to a real failure. And if you have someone on the team who doesn't come through with something honest, the team will say to them, that's not really a failure. Like, dig deep, be able to talk about it. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. Actually, for probably the last 20 years, I've been writing and talking about that, and that should be done. But most organizations don't do it. You're one of the few that I've ever heard that does that, and I think it's fantastic because our biggest lessons don't come from our biggest successes, do they?
Exactly.
They come from our biggest failures. And when we learn that big lesson from that failure, if it is that lesson is not shared, then we start repeating. Matter of fact, probably someone else is going to do the same failure and go
Exactly.
through the same thing. But when we can share those lessons, it's unbelievably powerful. So I applaud you for that, and I think it's fantastic.
In order for it to work, it obviously has to fit in with the company values. For us, that really fits in with our core value of humility. We are an organization that recognizes that we are servants to our clients, we are servants to one another, that we are here because we are here to learn and to do well for our clients and for the world. We don't know everything. And if you come in with that attitude and work that way every single day, you're actually quite open to sharing your failures and being honest with your teams of what has gone well, what hasn't gone well, and to be honest about it. The other thing we also do, however, is every meeting that has more than 5 people in it, we have what we call a take two for culture, where we ask people to talk about something that they have done that aligns to, or they've witnessed that aligns to our core values. So I do believe these types of learning experiences have to be part of the culture, or they're not honest, they're not authentic.
Exactly. A little earlier in our conversation, I talked about all relationships that are good are based on trust. And by the way, how do you get trust? Well, you earn trust. And how do you earn trust? Values, honesty, integrity, delivering on promises, and so on. So knowing what your cultural values are and then living them rather than just having them on a list is extremely powerful. One other thing on culture. I can take your patent and probably get around it. I can probably copy anything that you do. But one thing I can't copy is your culture. So your biggest competitive advantage actually is your culture and what that is. And as you're transforming your engineering culture, as you're growing them into what we've been talking about in this interview, you're creating the big competitive advantage.
Exactly. It's really how you work with your clients, how you behave, how you are authentic, and how you put them first, and the way in which you're working with them, slow thinking to come up with the right solution, is really what makes the difference.
Yeah, and I am a big believer in servant leadership. When you're really there to serve others and to help others, because that's how you elevate others.
Exactly.